Good to join with you on the Wednesday of our prayer week. We've been working our way through, haven't we? If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, I will hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. Third day of the prayer week. I'm actually recording this later on Monday, so I've already had the first couple of prayer meetings with 10 prayer warriors who made it out despite the weather and the pavements. Thank you to them, but really good to find in the afternoon prayer meeting that I think 3 people there had already watched this at home on their computers or their TVs or phones or however you watched it. So good to find other people will be joining in and being part of things in that way. So we're going to focus today on the humble and pray. We've got a meeting at 7 o'clock this evening as well, remember, in Holy Trinity. If you're able to make it and join in with that, that might be possible for some who haven't been able to make the daytime meetings thus far. Humble and pray is the focus. If my people will humble themselves and pray. Very similar combination actually that you find in 1 Peter chapter 5 verses 5 to 7. In the same way, you who are younger, some advice to younger men here, submit yourselves to the elders. All of you clothe yourselves with humility towards one another, because God opposes the proud but shows favour to the humble. Kind of logic that you find in Jesus' blessed are the poor in spirit. God shows favour to the humble. Humble yourselves therefore under God's mighty hand. We'll come back to that picture, that he may lift you up in due time. Cast all your anxiety onto him, because he cares for you. Same sort of double emphasis, because they're casting your anxieties onto God. That's saying really pray, isn't it? I think some people have an idea of humility, that it's what you achieve by thinking hard about yourself in a sort of grovelling way as being a terrible sinner, and that's what will make you humble. And certainly sin can sometimes lead to sort of an awareness of our own frailty and weakness, and can break pride, bring us to our knees if you like. But I want you to know that humility is not something that we should have because we're sinners. Humility is something we should have just because we're creatures. Humility is all that makes sense when you realise that you're dealing with the one who is God over all the cosmos, over all time, the one who is the Alpha and the Omega. I mean, he's so big, people. He's so amazing. The God that amazingly we are allowed and able to relate to in Jesus. Do we not realise that we could not draw our next breath except that he enables it, the one who both creates and sustains all the universe? There were 2 cockerels in a farmyard, and they were crowing as the sun came up. One of them was crowing because he thought the sun had come up to hear him. The other one was crowing because its crowing was going, wow. Which one of those 2 cockerels was right, and which one, I guess, are we more like? Anything we can do in our lives can be a kind of a crowing, a kind of a self-assertion, or the same thing done as an act of worship can be done as an act of worship. And humility before God, I think, is the difference as to which one it will be. Remember, Jesus is our example in humility. Now here is one who is very God from very God, but as he took on humanity, he humbled himself, it says. That's what taking on true humanity involves, humbling yourself. Putting himself in the place in his flesh as one who knew that truly God is all, and making way for God to be all in all. That's what we do in humility. It's not having any lack of self-worth. It's remembering that we're wonderfully made and finding our worth in that, where even he has done the making of us in every way that we are. Humility is how you should be before God. It's pictured beautifully in that 1 Peter passage where it talks about humbling yourself under the mighty hand of God. You see, that's where we stand. We sometimes sing, don't we? He's got the whole world in his hands. Well, think about that. If he's got you in his hand, so I can't get my hand right in the right place for this camera. You have to do everything backwards, so you have to work it out as you go along. But think of yourself in the hand of the one who has made everything, who holds everything in his hand, who is over all authorities and powers. And there's you in that hand. Now you there in that hand, what are you going to do as you find yourself there? Are you going to strut your stuff? Are you going to blow your own trumpet? Are you going to stand on your rights? Or are you going to humble yourself? It's not something you have to work at, humility. It's just something that must be. Just see where you are. Just behold your God. And that will do the trick. You will humble yourself, or you will find yourself humbled. It's a coming to your senses. Blessed are the poor in spirit, because they see how it is. They see that God is all. It's something you'll have found, has just happened to you sometimes in experience. Perhaps when you first became a Christian. Perhaps up front at some meeting and being prayed for. Perhaps sorry and being sorry for something that you've done. Perhaps being broken and then being filled. Being bowed and then lifted up. In any kind of experience with God, you'll find that it involved a humility before him, a realizing of his greatness and that he is all. Humble yourselves and pray. Good partners, humble yourself and pray, because in prayer we express our dependence on God. Again, that he is all, that he is the one that can do anything. So in 2 Chronicles, it's humble yourselves and pray. And in 1 Peter 5, it's humble yourself under the mighty hand of God, and then straight away cast all your anxieties onto him. Natural progression into effectively prayer. I love to point people now to that Earthworm song, since we learnt it. Did we do it in both churches, or have we just done it in Christchurch? But I think we did it in a joint service. There's a song that goes that it's like an earthworm trying to do press-ups, like a potato trying to swim, like a mountain trying to brush its teeth. Those things can't do those things, can they? They lack the thing that you need when we don't rely on him. When we pray, we trust our Father. That's what Jesus said. So I'll stop trusting in myself and I'll pray to God instead. That's what we're doing through these prayer weeks, isn't it? Saying, I'm not going to trust myself, I trust in God instead, and so I turn to prayer. Prayer is that attitude of due humility before God. It's frightening, though, to think of what parts of church might continue even after we stopped praying. Many things would still happen and still continue even if we were prayerless as a church. It's just the programs would carry on, but there'd be no lives changed. No sense of God doing things amongst us. And it would all be as ugly and sterile and as empty as religion without really God at the heart of it always is. Till we say, we need you, God. That's sometimes how it works, isn't it? We come juddering to the place where we think, I can't do things myself. We can't do things ourselves. We need you, God. And we turn to him in prayer. And our prayers are more like the crying out to him that they should always have been. I used to have a thing on a Bible that someone gave me as a teenager. I used to have a sticker. I put stickers on everything around then. I put a sticker on my Bible that said, "Prayer changes everything." And that was really good, and it was expressing something that I was discovering. I think I'd change the sticker now slightly. I think I'd say, "I pray because God changes everything." It's not like prayer's magic, it's more like, not quite the right words, but God's magic. And in prayer, I take hold of him and he takes hold of me. And that's why prayer is just something that we must have, and is the accompaniment of a due humility and understanding of who God is. It's also quite a freeing thing, actually, in some ways, when you remember the power behind prayer, because it means, with the greatest due respect, that any old prayer will do. What do I mean by that? There's a quote I found from someone I rather like. I'll read it to you. "Our prayers may be awkward." Do you sometimes feel that? "Our attempts may be feeble." Did it feel like that in the last prayer meeting you were at? "But since the power of prayer is in the one who hears it and not in the one who says it, our prayers do make a difference." Isn't that freeing? It doesn't really matter how good or right sounding or whatever else it is our prayers are, because the power of prayer is in the one who hears it, not in the one who says it. And so we can be sure that our prayers will make a difference because of the one who hears it. We're going to be going on in the later time in the week to think very much about that phrase of healing our land as one of the ways that our prayers are answered. We'll come to that later, as I say, but just for now, let's see that we don't get to the place of that kind of answer to prayer except by prayer. Only if we're people who will pray, then we see through prayer, or by the God we lay hold of in prayer and who lays hold of us, as in prayer we open our lives to him and report to him for service, for duty, to see his kingdom come, to see his will done. Then we see those kind of changes in Anfield as in heaven. Anfield doesn't need our sympathy, it needs our serious commitment to prayer. If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray. Perhaps to finish and to sort of guide us in our prayers ahead, let's have that picture of the hand, if I can put it in the right place now. Ourselves in God's mighty hand, in the hand of the one who is over all. And humble ourselves and pray. And there's going to be in our prayers a kind of giving up on ourselves and a kind of giving over of everything that we do and everything we're involved with as church, giving up and giving it over to God. You might find at home or together if you're braver, I don't know, that sometimes using your body in a way that, we used to talk about going on our knees to pray. It can still be helpful to go on our knees to pray, just to remember that posture of humility is part of what we're doing in prayer. People sometimes even find it good to go face down in prayer, lying on the floor, though you'll pardon that if you'll never get up again. So I won't ask all to be doing that. That could be something to try. Just sometimes you can use your bodies as a help physically to put you in the right place before God. Same way as raising your hands in praise can feel really good and feel cool, or in prayer. And then, as well as that kind of giving up and giving over, I want to ask us to be praying about how we will bear that attitude and take into our practices ahead as individuals and as church a whole disposition to humble ourselves before God and to be people of prayer, people who know that nothing happens without prayer, because nothing happens without our God, who in the end is all. Oh, that we could be reshaped as church so that that was just so clear and at the heart of all we do and all we are.